Welcome to the Karen Kenney Show. Hey, you guys, welcome to the Karen Kenney Show. I'm a little giddy with excitement to talk about this episode today, mostly because I just learned a bunch of stuff I didn't know. I mean, like, maybe it was in my subconscious from like the collective subconscious for being on the planet at the same time as these little beings. But holy moly, I just learned a bunch of stuff that's just making me laugh. And I just have to say, STOTJ, spiritual team on the job. And thank you, spiritual team, for this podcast idea, which I think I'm just going to call the Care Bear Stare. The Care Bear Stare. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about how this happened. And you're basically going to see how my brain works. So here we are. I'm just opening up the lid to my head. And you're going to see this is how my brain works. Okay. So I have a friend called Kara. And at one point I was working in a place where we had two Karas. And so we called one like Cece, and then I called the other one Care Bear. And so I was laying on the floor, as you can see behind me. I have this great rug. And in this room, as you guys know, I have these skylights. And so one of the things that I do, and I've often said this, like never underestimate the power of just laying on the floor like spread eagle staring at the ceiling. Oh my God, Jesus Christ on a cracker. Anybody else? Anybody else kind of feeling it these days? But so a lot of times when I just need a break from working or writing or whatever, I will literally just get out of this chair, lay on the floor, spread eagle, stare up through the skylights and look at like the trees in the sky or whatever. Okay. So there's a reason why I'm telling you all that. So I was thinking about my friend Care Bear, and I was sitting here and I had a thought to myself, and I thought, I just need to like recharge. Like I just need to lay down on the floor, take a breather, take 2 seconds and recharge, or I'm like gonna like pull my hair out. So, we are in incredibly challenging times. I mean, all throughout history, we can look back and see there were periods of time when the world was at either a boiling point or a breaking point or a point when something new was trying to be birthed. There was going to be big change. And a lot of times before big change, there's a lot of tension. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of breaking down. There's a lot of bullshittery. There's a lot of bullshit happening, right? And so it can feel like really like to those of us, especially, I mean, I would say to everybody, I think we're all sensitive in our own ways, but those of us who might identify as highly sensitive people, it can feel just a little like our nervous systems are just like, oh, I always go like this. I'm melting. If you're not watching this, if you're listening, I kind of have my fingers on my temples and I'm like just kind of pulling my eyes back and I'm just like melting my face. I'm like, that's how I feel sometimes. So when those moments happen, I have a gazillion tools, right? I've been at this stuff for a long time. I have a lot of different tools I can use, a lot of spiritual tools. I have a lot of neuroscience tools. I have like tapping and bilateral stimulation and breath work, right? I'm a breath coach. I stretch, like all these things. I got the tools. But sometimes, again, never underestimate just kind of like laying on the floor and letting yourself just recharge. And that's how I see it. I'm like, I am just going to like unplug from this crazy world. I'm going to unplug from social media. I'm going to unplug from all the shit coming at me from out there. And I'm just going to go inside. And I think about it this way, and this comes from like different traditions, different ways of looking at this. And so I kind of think of it like this. So my meditation teacher is Ishwaran, Eknath Ishwaran. His granny was his great spiritual teacher. And he always says she was uneducated. She was very simple, but she was incredibly deeply wise. And she had such spiritual knowledge to impart on him. And she used to call him the little lamp. The little lamp, L-A-M-P, little lamp. And I think of all of us as being little lamps. We are little lamps, but what lights us up, right? I always say the divine, God, source, love is the electricity. And the only way that we can shine is we have to plug into that internal divine spark. And when we plug in, right, we kind of light up. I'm going to explain how this all relates to Care Bear. Stay with me. So I was laying on the floor the other day and I'm like, I just need to recharge. I need to plug in. I need to plug into source. I need to go right to the source. That's like me spending a little time with God, with Spirit, with Holy Spirit, with my spiritual team. However, some people plug in by going out into their own quote unquote God. They go out into Mother Nature, right? So we all have our different ways of recharging. I have a bunch of different ways, but sometimes it's just laying flat on my back. So as I was laying on my back, I thought I need to recharge, right? I was sitting at my desk. I was like, I'm melting. I need to recharge. I lay on the floor and I think to myself, this thought just wanders across my head. I need to recharge like the Care Bears, right? And I was like, other than calling Kara Care Bear, I haven't really thought about Care Bears in like forever, right? So I'm like, wait. Do Care Bears like recharge? Like, I know they have that beam of light, but like, how did they recharge? And from that curiosity, from that question, here we are. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, I don't give a shit about the Care Bears, but you might if you stay tuned and you continue to listen, because I'm going to break down kind of the spiritual principle of the Care Bears. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the Care Bears, I'm going to show a little picture. Those of you who are watching, I think most of you might remember them, but here's a quick little picture of all the different colored rainbow Care Bears. Okay, these little plushy Care Bears, they're wicked cute. Okay, but here's some things that I learned. Let me just give you a quick kind of backstory for those of you who might be too young, or you were too old, or you just forgot, you just remember vaguely what they are. So the Care Bears are like these multicolored bears. And they started off as drawings, as illustrations for American greeting cards. And the artist, her name was Elena Kucharik. This was 1981. So it was actually the year that my mother died. So I was 12 years old when the Care Bears came on the scene as cards, as greeting cards. They were then eventually turned into plush teddy bears. And then they became like a TV show and movies and stuff like that. Okay, so the Care Bear, they're multicolored bears. Here's the thing though. Each Care Bear is like a different color or a different shade of color. And they each have a unique image on their tummy, on their stomach. Now, sometimes these are called belly badges, which how cute is that? I'm like, I want a belly badge. Belly badges, and sometimes they're called tummy symbols, okay? And those symbols, those badges represent their personality or their specialty, like their special power. Okay. There were 10 original Care Bears, and they were Bedtime Bear. I love these. Bedtime Bear, Birthday Bear, Cheer Bear, Friend Bear, Funshine Bear, Good Luck Bear, Grumpy Bear, Love a Lot Bear, Tender Heart Bear, and Wish Bear. Those are some pretty cool names and some pretty cool powers. If you kind of think about those in your mind, what they are. Later on, though, and this is when I got wicked excited because I didn't know this. I'm learning all of this right now with maybe some of you. Later on, additional bears joined the 10 original bears. But you know who else joined the family, the Care Bear family? The cousins. Oh my God. Now, the cousins were different animals. There was like a lion, a rabbit, a penguin, a raccoon. I think there was a pig. I think there was, I think that I say lamb. I think there was a lamb as well. There were like all these different characters, and they were the cousins. And this just got me thinking about when we were kids, right? You may not have had siblings, but if you had yourself a good cousin, like you were in good hands, right? A lot of times I think of cousins as our kind of additional siblings. And sometimes the cousins are easier to love because you don't like, you know what I mean? Like, because you don't live with them all the time. Maybe I should say they're easier to like. You kind of choose to hang out with your cousins. Your siblings are kind of forced on you. But the cousins are the ones we often choose as the siblings that we love or also wish that we had. So I love this idea of the cousins. Now, as I said, Each Care Bear has their own unique belly badge symbol. And I'm going to explain how all of this relates to where we find ourselves right now and that need to recharge, like what's going on in the world and why the Care Bears, right, matter. So stay with me. Just stay with me. I'm laying down some foundation here. So each Care Bear has that unique belly badge symbol. It represents their special power. But do you know how the special power is activated? Now, this is when it starts to get spiritual and principled, and this is where it's really helpful. They activate their special power through positive emotions and concentration. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so fantastic. So, by paying attention, by focusing their attention, and by doing it through positive emotions. Now, I love that this episode is happening right after my last episode that was talking about toxic positivity, because this isn't that. This is about going within ourselves and kind of wrangling up, right? Stirring up, grabbing that positive force field of what I would call love, right? Doing this through positive emotions like love, joy, celebration, appreciation, gratitude, these powerful emotions that we sometimes look at as being quote unquote weak or too soft or too wussy or too like they're just not fierce enough. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Because love is an incredibly fierce emotion and it is an incredibly fierce motivator. And it has its own kind of power. It has staying power and it has sharing power. Because when enough people come together from a place of love, miracles happen. Shit gets done. People get saved. The tides turn. Do you know what I'm saying? So I love that they each have their own special power that they activate through these positive motions, aka love, etc., and through their concentration, which means they need to be present, they need to be paying attention, and they need to be focusing on the task at hand. And I will say this, there's a line in A Course in Miracles that says, you basically accomplish so little because you have undisciplined minds. You have minds that are not able to focus, to concentrate, to be where you want it to be because we get so distracted. And talk about social media. Like I have often thought, now I want to be very clear here, not a doctor, not talking shit about anybody who has been diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, any of those things. I'm just saying, I think a lot of people think that they have ADHD or the inability to focus and concentrate. And again, I'm not saying that it's not true and that you haven't had a proper diagnosis, but I'm curious about how much of those symptoms are attributed these days from social media, from being distracted. You know, I think about how much, and I talk about this, how much this world dismembers us. It pulls us apart. And so much of the spiritual work that I do, part of it is the underlying piece of it is one of the heartbeats of it is to remember ourselves, to remember who we truly are, to come back to this dismemberment of being chopped up into little pieces, to being distracted and pulled out of ourselves. To remember is to come back to our wholeness, to our holiness. That's what holiness is. It's our true wholeness, our whole self, right? That capital S self as one of God's kids, as an extension of the divine, as an extension of love, as part of the universe, right? It's like to come back to that wholeness is such a powerful thing. To concentrate, think about what to be concentrated means, right? To not be diluted, to not be watered down, to be at your full effect. And the Care Bears have that. And I was like, oh, we need to be more like the Care Bears. We need to blast our special powers by basically activating them through our positive emotions like love and through our concentration. And then I was like, I want to answer that question that I asked. Like, do the Care Bears recharge? And if they do, how do they do it? Like, how do they get that power? So I learned this in the Care Bear universe. The bears don't explicitly like need to quote unquote recharge in like a traditional sense where like they go someplace and they plug in, right? They have basically their own internal recharging system just like we do. I always say, what do you think prayer is? What do you think meditation is? What do you think concentration is? What do you think moving your body and breathing is? Like for some people, it's dance. For some people, it's yoga. Like, how do you recharge? Be around the people you love. Do what you love. Create art. You know, there's like 1,000 ways. Take a bath, go for a swim, go out, spend time in nature, like go to the beach, float in the ocean, pet your dog, right? Like there's 1,000 ways that we can recharge. But listen to this. The bears don't recharge in a traditional sense, but what they do, their powers are depicted as stemming from their positive emotions and their caring nature. It's the positive emotions and the caring nature that basically and essentially replenishes them. So when they perform an act of kindness, when they think about other people, when they're loving towards other people, that's how they recharge. They recharge by spreading positivity. They recharge by helping others. They recharge by being of service. They recharge by being their loving selves, their whole holy selves. I was like, oh my God, this is such an incredible example for the time that we find ourselves in. This is how we're going to recharge. This is how we're going to survive the next 4 years, right? This is how is by relying on, right? First of all, that, as I was saying, to recharge, to go online for me, like with the divine, right? To tap into those inner resources. As I always say, the assignment is alignment. And when we are in alignment, man, does that channel come right through. That antenna is like, boop, on point. We are listening to radio station KGOD or whatever you want to call it. K Mother Nature, right? KMN, whatever, right? So we get to recharge though from helping others, spreading positivity, being of good cheer, you know? And it led me to this, the title of this episode. It led me to the Care Bear Stare. And I was like, oh my God. What is the Care Bear Stare? Now, again, if you're not watching this show, I'm going to hold up the paper. I'll describe it to you. Those of you who are watching, this is the Care Bear Stare. So all the Care Bears line up together side by side, and they focus and they concentrate and they blast their energy. And that's because they're all different colors. This is where the rainbow comes from, all right? So this is their signature move. We need this signature move right now, the Care Bear Stare. So they're all standing. I'm going to describe it. They're all standing in a row. And it's like purple bear, aqua bear, blue bear, like coral bear, brown bear, yellow bear, like tan bear, pink bear, like all the periwinkle bear, like there's all these orange, yellow, they're all going down the line. And they have different symbols on their bellies, right? And they're so cute. And they're blasting a rainbow of light and stars, right? So let me explain this to you. This is the signature move when they use their special belly badges to project a positive beam of energy to help someone in need. Think about this. Okay, I'm going to describe it a little bit more. Then I found this on, I think it was Wikipedia, but it says the glittery beam filled with hearts and stars. This is what it does. It can blast an enemy to subdue their heartless attempts to harm others. Oh my God, listen to this. The glittery beam that is filled with hearts and stars, this rainbow beam can blast an enemy to subdue their heartless attempts to harm others. Okay, people. Okay. Take a look around. What is happening right now? We've got some motherfuckers, some greedy ass people who are trying with their heartless attempts to harm others. And I was like, oh my God, we need a Care Bear stare like right now. We all need to come together and use our belly badges to blast positive intention in love. Now, listen to this. The stare doesn't hurt their enemies, right? Meaning it doesn't like kill them or whatever. It doesn't hurt them. And to the contrary, this Care Bear stare can also be used to heal their friends who have been hurt. Oh my gosh. And the way it generally works against the quote unquote enemies is it creates like a disgust in them. The enemy gets disgusted. And as they stare, right, the recipient of the Care Bear stare, they get disgusted because it uncovers, right, or purifies their feelings towards another person or a situation. And the cousins also have this ability, and theirs is they get together and they do the care cousin call. And this is basically when they basically are pairing with the Care Bear stares, and instead they invoke their call. So they might make whatever their animal sound is, they make their animal call. And when these guys join forces, they are like unstoppable. Think about this. Because so often, again, people don't think of love as being part of the solution. Just like I often joke, and I'm like, the world is struggling. A lot of people are struggling right now. And unfortunately, right, a lot of people don't think like, oh yeah, like a spiritual mentor might be part of the solution, right? People often don't think that love is part of the solution. But I'm here to tell you, it is. Now, listen to this. When used, the Care Bear stare can overcome or at least seriously hinder all forces of evil. Oh my God, Jesus Christ. Double amen hands. People who are listening, please tell me you're picking up what I'm putting down. Please tell me you're hearing what I'm saying. The Care Bear stare can overcome or at least seriously hinder all forces of evil. What this is saying is when we all come together and we use our special powers, we use our individual special gifts, the individual curriculum, the divine assignment that you and you alone have, the talents, the skills, whatever it is that you have at this point in time, you are on the planet at this point in time because you were meant to be here, because you have something to offer. You have your own skills and gifts. You have your own Care Bear stare that you can add, right? So we have to get together and use our forces of goodness to defeat forces of evil. Now, this is interesting. This is important. So listen to this. The Care Bear stare can be weakened when the Care Bears either lose numbers, meaning people don't show up and do their job. People don't show up for the assignment. People don't show up. When there's not enough people working and moving in the direction of love, for love, in service to love, when we don't have enough numbers, the Care Bear stare gets weakened. It also gets weakened when they lose morale. When they lose morale, when they go into despair and hopelessness and, right, the Lilliputians, right? Oh my God, we'll never make it. We're doomed. When we start to go into that, when we refuse to engage, when we try to put our head in the sand, when we try to pretend like nothing's happening, or we just feel like I'm just one person, what can I do? This is how the Care Bear stare gets weakened. Okay. So we know that what makes it powerful is that the Care Bear stare is a symbol of teamwork. Marianne Williamson was saying before that the time of the soloist is over. This is now the choir. The choir needs to step up and sing together. So this is a symbol of teamwork. And it is entirely powered by, the Care Bear stare is powered by people's conviction. It's powered by the convictions of all the bears involved, which means we got to show up. We have to be like, I talk about the 5 Ds of DSP: daily, dedication, determination, discipline, and devotion. This is the kind of conviction that we need to have on the daily. We are determined. We are disciplined. We are devoted. You know what I'm saying? On the daily, dedicated to the cause of leading with love. Because listen, this conviction piece is really important because we are in a time when people who hate, they hate with a level and a depth of conviction that seems tireless and it seems unbeatable. But I'm here to tell you that it is not. It is not. There are people right now who are greedy with conviction. There are people right now who are so convicted that a woman shouldn't have a right to do what she wants with her own body, right? There are people that are convicted that, like people who come here from another country, immigrants, don't belong here. I mean, like, do I have to list all the things? I don't think I do. We're informed citizens, right? If you're listening to this show, I'm assuming you're an informed citizen. So here's the thing. Marianne Williamson once said, and she said it many times actually. She's like, terrorists don't just wake up in the morning and think, I don't know, like maybe I'll blow something up today. Maybe I'll do something to somebody today. No, terrorists are deeply convicted people. They're all in on their hate, right? People who hate with a level of conviction. And the thing is, we now need to love with the same amount of energy, concentration, conviction, and teamwork as those who hate. And it's interesting because the Care Bears, when they do the Care Bear stare or the cousin call, they have a motto. And the motto is, we can do it, but we have to do it together. We can do it, but we have to do it together. So our work right now, you guys, is figuring out, what is my belly badge? What is my belly badge? What is my superpower? What is my strength and my gift? And how can I contribute, right, to the positive forces of love in the world? Who are my other Care Bears? Who can I stand with? I mean, I can just speak for the people in the nest. We stand together. We are our own little Care Bears, right? We have our own little Care Bear stare that we are actively working towards. And maybe you experience this with your best girlfriends or your best friends, or maybe your family's really tight. Maybe it's the people that you practice yoga with. Maybe it's the people you go to church with. I don't know. Whatever your little group or community is, right? What is your Care Bear stare? So what is your color? What is your belly badge? What is it that you are blasting out? Because we need to concentrate that energy and that effort. And the more I think about this, and what I love about the Care Bear stare is you can blast an enemy to try to subdue their heartless attempts to harm others, but you don't actually end up, quote unquote, like harming them. So it's really a nice spiritual principle. It's like you're just basically blasting them with love. And when people receive love, not everybody, some people resist receiving love. But when we have a shift in our mind from fear to love, this is what the miracle is. It's a shift in perception from fear to love. And I think if enough of us come together and we do our own version of the Care Bear stare, we have a shot. We can turn some things around. We can at the very least, get through the next 4 years. We can do it, but we have to do it together. So I would love to hear. I hope some of you stayed long enough in this episode to hear this. I hope that you play along with me. I hope you write to me and you tell me, if you're a Care Bear, what's your belly badge? What's your superpower? And when you're shooting out your hearts and your stars and your love, who are you directing it towards? What do you hear? Like, what matters to you? Who are you getting together with to do these things? I just hope you drop me a little note in a little line, because, and I have to think about mine too, because I'm like, oh, if I'm a Care Bear, I think I might know what color I am. More to come. I'll maybe do a post about this, but I would love to know this. And I'm just so grateful, right? I just wanted seriously, spiritual team on the job because it led me here. And I just thought like, oh my God, it might seem so ridiculous and so simple and so silly and so childish, but I will say this. There's a difference between being childish and being childlike. It is in that innocence of the child that Jesus often talked about, right? Be innocent like a child. Meaning, when we were little kids, we just pretty much loved. We loved all the animals, we loved all the people. We were taught to hate other things and other people and maybe other religions or other races or whatever, right? Races of people. What does that? It's so, I don't even look at when we were kids, we just were love. We were love embodied. And then the world and our parents and society and the school bully and all the things started to happen. But we can reclaim. You know, there's a part of me that is still very much like a little kid. And I hope I never ever lose that. I hope I never lose my curiosity and sense of wonder and my innocence because I'm a realist. I can see the shit that goes on, but I just believe that there is something greater beyond that. Call it above it, call it past it. I can see through it, right? I can see through it to the other side. And I know what we're capable of as humans. I know the deep potential, that divine spark that lives in all of us. So hopefully you guys, you're taking time each day to do your own DSP, your own daily spiritual practice. You're plugging into the source, whatever you happen to call that. You recharge yourself so we can get up each day and keep doing the work that we are here to do, to keep being instruments of peace, to keep being extensions of love, to keep remembering who we really are, coming back to our wholeness and our holiness. You know, that line in A Course in Miracles, you know, child of God, you were created to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. Do not forget this. And when we are in our care, bear, stare, when we are joined together in service to love with people we love, doing the good work, right? The sometimes hard work, but like the good work, when we're out there making good trouble. Making good trouble. Thank you, Representative Al Green. Right? That's a Care Bear stare happening right there. So you guys, thank you so much for listening. I love you. I appreciate you. If you want to get in on the Care Bear stare, come join the nest. You can just find out about it. Go to my website, KarenKenney.com. That's where you can find everything. My yoga classes, the nest, working one-to-one together in the quest. All those things are there and available. But just thank you for being a listener to the show. I super duper have so much gratitude for you for being here. Okay, wherever you go, may you leave yourself, the people, the animals, the place, the environment, and the other Care Bears better than how you first found them. Wherever you go, may your love, your energy, your presence, and your Care Bear stare be a blessing. Bye.